I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Because we talk about just being able to pack up and go to another country. But I think and I've been having this conversation with Dom and whether that should be an option. And we've been having this conversation around family members that are employed. And as you have the conversation and have the thought experiment, you realize that the majority of Australians, 99% of Australians don't have the ability to be able to do what we keep saying to do on this podcast, pack up and go to another country. They don't have the ability to do that because are they going to get it? If you work a 9-to-5 job here in Australia and what are you going to do? You're going to go do a 9-to-5 job in Dubai, or you're going to go work for slave labor in Dubai? Like the mobility is not there for the majority of Australians. And it's not as easy to just pack up and go to another country. And we say, okay, start a business, start an e-commerce business. Well, the last 2 attempts at e-commerce business that I've done, I've failed and blown $400,000. It's not as easy today to start a business. It's easier than it's ever been to start a business, but it's harder to succeed because there's so much competition, because everybody's thinking the same thing. That's the struggle that Australians are in at the moment. That's the predicament. We hear this all the time. We hear about AI displacing jobs, and will AI displace jobs? It occurred to me just this week that we are in that worst phase of displacement now. It's not coming. It's now. Because right now, the person who's working a job, or even the person who's in between businesses, is uncertain about what the fuck they are going to do next, because they don't know, is it worth me investing in this business, or is that business going to be gone and disrupted tomorrow? We are in that crisis period at the moment. My belief is that in 2-3 years, when AI sorts itself out, we're going to be much clearer on what we should be doing with our time. But right now, I think we're in the phase of the worst part of the transformation.
Well, you had Elon was on Rogan just recently. It was a 20-minute soundbite in there. He's talking about universal, was it luxury income or something like that? Abundant income, not load-based level income. And it was quite interesting to see his take on it. And to Mark's point, are we in it full noise right now with the displacement, or is it probably going to come? We said it's going to be a hell of a bumpy ride to get there, and uncharted territory. So, yeah.
With that 6%, I mean that $1,200 a week, right? What I was saying, that's interest only. Like if you look at it, right, it's about $5,500 a month. Okay, so that's what is that? That is $65,000 a year after tax income that you would have to pay for a principal and interest loan. So for 65 grand, you probably got to be earning 90 to 95 just to pay the mortgage. I haven't even included anything for insurance and maintenance and anything else. So it's easy 100 grand a year you need to earn, right, to own $1 million property at a $950,000 P&I loan. And then you still got to eat, cars, fuel, drive, kids.
And Eric,
it doesn't work.
You've ruled yourself out of ever buying an investment property. You are fucked with a capital F. You do not have any borrowable income to do anything with. And this, getting back to the thought experiment, I watched a video this week on a product offered by MicroStrategy. Now, I don't own this. I just watched a guy do like a 40-minute thing on, how you can retire early by buying a MicroStrategy product called Strike, STRC. And it has a 10.5% tax-free return paid monthly, right? Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not recommending you buy it.
Just a thought experiment.
It's just a thought experiment, right? So this is a tax, because of the way it's called a ROC income, which is return on capital income. Anyway, the way these distributions they come with tax paid effect, and it's 10.5% paid monthly. Now, I just put into ChatGPT while I'm sitting here, I needed $5 million of commercial property freehold to give me $160,000 post-tax income in Australia, right? Just to give people the analogy. I put into ChatGPT while I'm typing here, if I've got a tax-free 10.5% income coming back off an investment, how much capital do I need to have $160,000? And the answer is $1.52 million. So $5 million in commercial real estate versus $1.5 million. And this is basically a fixed interest product. that is 5 times over collateralized with Bitcoin from MicroStrategy. So they have 5 times the coverage of the loan, which means Bitcoin could draw down to 80% drawdown and still be able to pay the commitment. So all I'm saying is these are the kinds of thought experiments. And then if you go, well, look, if I've got $1.5 million and I move to somewhere like Bali or somewhere else where I've got much lower cost of living, do I even need the $160,000 anymore? You know, maybe I only need $80,000 a year, and then you can cut it in half again. All I'm encouraging people to start to do is like really start to, as Mark said, to do these thought experiments, because when Mark said, does tax really matter? You know, it got me thinking about my actual situation and what I was, and the time is very different. When I created that wealth, I did it, you know, just when all the ducks lined up and everything was in a row and interest rates were dropped to nearly zero and all the money flooded into real estate and prices went crazy. Yeah. I was sitting there thinking about young people today in Australia and this 5% home deposit and how all of them are rushing into this. And I'm like, if you were my kid, that would be the last thing I would tell you to do. I would say, run, baby, run.
Not only that, right? It's the big, beautiful act, if you will. But how long's it going to last for? At 50 grand growth, it's now going to be non-affordable next year or the year after. So it's going to last 12 months, and the whole thing's fucked anyway.
But you know what?
Won't be able to afford it.
But it doesn't even matter anyways, because like there'll be a point in time where they won't be able to buy because they're not producing enough anyways. Like at the moment, we're I don't want to go off topic too much, but we're short about 50,000 homes a year. So there's going to be a point in time where everyone rushes to it, and then there's not going to be even the amount of property, right? Like we're in a productivity issue, and this is why I go back to real estate, right? Because why is Bitcoin so attractive, right? There's multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons is it's not infinite, right? There's only 21 million, right? So it's scarce, not like gold and the rest of it. And that's why I just look at stats and I go, every year we're building 50,000 homes that we need to be building. So 2 years, that's 100,000, you know what I mean? And over and over and over again. So what does that mean? There's more demand than there is supply. And this has been happening for the last 2 decades. I talked about this on a pod earlier today. For the last 2 decades, we haven't been building enough homes, right? So in my opinion, that's what's the reason why it's scarce, right? And moving forward, when you look at productivity, right? The output per hour worked in the construction industry has only grown by 17%, okay, between 1995 and today. Whereas you look at broader markets, it's increased by 64%. That's 4 times the amount. So we have a productivity issue that is putting pressure on property prices. And that's why property prices, amongst other things, go up in certain areas, because we're not actually building enough. Like I know, because anyone that owns property, just look at your rates notices, look at your land tax bills, and look at the dollar value that's attributed to it. It has been going up year after year after year after year, right? In the areas that I'm buying, maybe not all areas, but this is where you got to do your due diligence. And this is where, back to what you said earlier, Adam, that the buy and hold strategy, right? The buy and hold 10, 15, 20 years is finished. That is done. Like Adam, like you said, all the ducks lined up in a row. What Adam did in 2020 and 21 when he had those properties, I can bet him right now, right? I'll give you 10 grand to try and do that again today. He wouldn't be able to do it, right? Well, he wouldn't be able to do it. Like timing was impeccable to the point where how many millions did you lose just in that period of time where you didn't sell, right? On that one property. And this is the thing, timing has a lot to do with everything. Like you look at Bitcoin in the last, in the last week to 2 weeks, down by 20%. Like timing is everything.